dreams can become a reality just through 7 minutes of my day. All entrepreneurs, business owners, you're going to experience this, and I have to go to therapy. Too many people just say, I want to meet investors. What does that mean? I think there's lots more to come to this place, and I'm throwing all my eggs into this basket. I believe it's the year of innovation. This place is desperate for ideas. I was never going to get a job in banking. I was never going to get a job at any big names. Good morning and welcome to my channel, or vlog, however you want to call it. I've just got to Abu Dhabi. It's the start of 2023. I think a lot of people are looking to get going. For me, I'm setting up a few new businesses. What's making me, get out of bed and get things going? I listened to a good podcast this morning. It was Stephen Bartlett talking to Richard Branson. And for all of you who don't know, Richard Branson, multi-billionaire who started the Virgin brand. So yeah, I've got lots of emails to do. We've got an inbox of, over 127 to reply to today. So apologies if I haven't replied to some of you listeners. And I hope to get going as soon as possible. But it's a lovely day here in Abu Dhabi Square. We've got, I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but there's a falcon somewhere there. His Excellency Ahmed Jassim Al Zabi calls it the capital of capital now. We are the capital of the UAE and we are the capital of capital. My goal this year is to set up a new accounting business to raise more money for the startup ecosystem here, which is very close to my heart. I keep, throwing everything I have to grow in this ecosystem, and that's going to be my goal this year. And so many people from around the world are coming here. It's interesting. Not only do you not pay tax, but it's safe. It's a happy place to be. 22 degrees Celsius outside in January. And I think for a lot of people who aren't from the UAE and listening, it's a place where you can think straight. And I think that's quite important for a lot of us. If we want to start businesses, maybe you had a good year, maybe you had a bad year, it doesn't matter. I think the focus here is to be part of an ecosystem that is a pleasure, to be around. So I just spotted our Chief Operating Officer of ADGM out in the square. And this is the cool thing about Abu Dhabi Global Markets. You look out your window and you can recognize people from everywhere. But so first thing this morning, what have I just done? So there's a few startups I made some promises to before Christmas to help out. And when you meet people and you're just like, you two are meant to be together. So there's an amazing platform called Playbook. Female founder. Never met more of a driven person, honestly. I only had one call. Just got an amazing cap table. I think a San Francisco VC, even PIF, Public Investment Fund, through Sanibel invested in their platform. Now, what it is a female-only ecosystem where there's courses, obviously networking, seminars, everything you can imagine to do business. And I think the biggest thing for this platform is allowing anybody who wants to start a business to learn from one another, learn the challenges, understand what was done right, ask for advice about regulation if you're starting a fintech business, where you're not having to pay fortune to a lawyer for advice or an accountant. So her name is Wafa, and I've introduced her to a brand new venture capital firm called Rasmal Ventures based out of Qatar. I believe they're a 200 million fund, brand new this year, fresh liquidity. I think it potentially maybe an evergreen fund. And remember, for all of you out there on LinkedIn, in the business world, that one introduction, you never know what may happen. It took me 10 minutes to write an email, maybe less, and I'll go on the call with them, get things off to a good start so it's not awkward. And you never know. Dreams can become a reality just through 7 minutes of my day. But what a lot of founders you have to understand is, I think I get this a lot, is too many people just say, I want to meet investors. What does that mean? I think a lot of everybody, if it's a 2023 goal, be specific. I wrote an article last year about how to ask people for introductions and how you need to make the person you're asking their job as easy as possible. Because if it's too hard, I get thousands of people asking me, weekly for introduction to investors on LinkedIn. But the problem is they're just asking me for investors. They don't say, Obi, I want to meet this person at this group because we satisfy this part of their business and they've made an investment in a previous business like this. It's a match made in heaven. For me, no brainer. Makes me look good to the investor. You have to think also from my perspective is I also have to protect, my own interests, my own image. So actually reaching out to an investment group, I want to make sure I'm not wasting their time. And this is what a lot of startups have to understand, where I'm coming from. I would love to make everybody's dreams come true, but also if it's not suitable, I may not come back to you and deny like a really positive message, be like, yeah, no problem, easy, done deal. I may come back and be like, why should I make this introduction for you? Another 120 emails to go through, but getting through the start of January. Not to read some of my messages, but this is all this morning. Just replying. We are off to go and meet a startup founder in Hub 71, which is actually above me. I'm on the 5th floor and they're on the 15th. Let me just, as you can see, my busy office where I'm the only human here. The lonely life of an entrepreneur, right? Lovely building, this ADGM, all modern, lots of offices. I think I've got a green energy fund next door to me and then a Chinese property developer. Cool. But yeah, so I have to go down to security, change and go into another elevator. So Hub 71 is on the 14th, 15th floor. I meet a startup founder there for a coffee in the WeWork. And see what we can do with him. Cool, bright. So we're in Abu Dhabi, Hub 71. I've got Ibrahim here.
Hello. Nice to meet you guys.
We're part of the Hub 71 ecosystem, which is developing every day. Exciting 2023. We've been talking, myself and Ibrahim, about what we're going to do, what we're going to achieve this year. So that was Ibrahim, super cool guy. Runs his own family business, manages money from his father. Invested a lot in Silicon Valley, has his own startup in Hub 71. He's an engineer at heart who has built something in the oil and gas industry, some patent protected technology. So, yeah, what a guy. I think he's like me, he's another person who wants to help the Abu Dhabi ecosystem as much as possible. So Abu Dhabi is the capital of the UAE. It's where we have all the institutions, all the sovereigns. A lot of the government legislations are written here. And it's attracting, some of the big global names. But for all of you who live in a cold place right now in the winter, have a look how beautiful Abu Dhabi is. Sun's going down. You've got nice restaurants on the waterfront here. So it's a nice part of the world to live in. You don't pay any tax. It's safe. There's no crime. I think this place will continue to pull in extortionate amount of talent. I think there's 2023 will bring a lot of interesting geopolitical issues around the world. And I think this place will continue to pull people in, not the fact that, yes, of course, it's making good oil revenue, but it's just a nice place to be. I always say, being in an environment where you can feel safe, people around you are happy, it's a place where you can literally get your voice heard, the queues are shorter, so if you're a startup looking for cash, there's more chance that you're going to get attention here, or even just, it's not about getting the money, it's about even just getting the chance to pitch. If you're in London or New York, you're in a queue of hundreds. Here, you're probably in a queue of 10 or 20. At the moment, I think that's going to increase. I think there's lots more to come to this place, and I'm throwing all my eggs into this basket. I believe it's the year of innovation, lots of bigger names coming here. So it's now the middle of the week. I'm actually off to my therapy session. Ever since, 3 years ago, I started to get an overactive gland, which pretty much pumps adrenaline into me, and it comes from stress. I think for all entrepreneurs, business owners, you're going to experience this, and I have to go to therapy because it's overactive. I get a bad email, or I hear a loud noise, or my family say something's wrong, and I start to go into panic mode. So yeah, I'm off to see the doctor. I go once every 2 weeks, go through a process, change of routine, all these types of things. So yeah, it's I'm sure a lot of people go through it. It all looks well on the outside on LinkedIn for me, but on the inside, we all have our own struggles. So for all of you out there who's stressing in the business world, it's okay to go and find somebody to support you and help you out, because it's actually the start for me. 2023, I promised myself I'd take it more seriously because I overwork. I enjoy working, and I put too much pressure on myself. I don't like failing. Under-pleasing people is probably the best way to say it. I was helping raise cash for a Series B last year, ADGM startup. We managed to get 2 commitments from 2 families, one in Bahrain, the other one in Saudi. Issue we're having is families traditionally don't know how to lead rounds. What that means is it's not that they don't want to, it's just the fact that they've never really done it. They don't know how to value technology. They don't have the in-house counsel. They don't have European investment managers or US investment managers who've seen technologies like this, who've done enough market surveillance. That obviously Saudi, UAE don't have enough data on software startups or fintech. So what you guys have to imagine here, for all of you coming in, especially when it comes to family groups, yes, they do have some fairly good liquidity. They have good revenue from some of the industrial lines. However, when you rock up at their door with a tech and you're saying it's worth 50 million, it proposes a problem. So in short, what we're doing over the next few months is potentially getting them to co-lead, giving them more confidence around the valuation. There is a potential where we can go and reissue a safe note, not sure. So yeah, there's always problem solvings. Raising money, investment transactions are never as easy as you think they are. And that process is probably going to take, I want to say, anywhere from 5 months. So as of last year, I got asked to be part of a Entrepreneurship and SME Council under the Department of Economic Development, which is really just monthly discussions, events, really a series of meetings to see how we can make Abu Dhabi better for startups, help push people from the public sector into the private sector to become entrepreneurs, all these types of things. Now, I got the most amazing voice note, but I'm also quite worried because what I don't think the gentleman realizes is that I'm quite dyslexic when it comes to reading and writing. Let me just find the message. Let's see if you can hear this through a voice note.
He was Tim Dempsey, a publisher working with the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development, and Crusade gave me your contact details. We're publishing a book. We're in the final stages. Crusade thought that we were in touch with you, but I still remember being in touch with you, or my memories got bad. So would love to connect with you and see if you might want to write a chapter. I just sent you an email with a link to the guide that I do for the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, nice voice note to get. I'll figure it out. I'll give him a call today and tell him my situation. I'm sure I will be able to produce something, but I'm a little bit nervous about writing a chapter. I've never done that, and no idea why they want me to. This place is desperate for ideas. It's desperate for technology that works in a different market. You might be getting squeezed out the market by other competitors. I don't know, your product may be very small, but you're yet to really get that cash to go out to a bigger market, but you really believe that you have traction. Think of this place as a fresh stomping ground where you have a very large mixture of consumers from around the world. It's not a ginormous population, everybody knows that, but at least it's a fresh landing pad for you to have a chance. It's funny. I was just listening to a podcast, Stephen Bartlett, interviewing, I think it's Barbara. Barbara Cochran. She's a famous real estate CEO. Now, she brought up school, back in the days of school, and she said something that resonated with me quite well. Was I went to an all-boys school. I got sent there for 2 years. 3 years. So I went to state school, which is school you don't pay for. It's provided by the British state. And then I got sent to private school because I was naughty and I misbehaved. I never sat still. I never listened to the teachers. I was always up and about in my seat. And I went to private school, and it was very competitive. Every single person around me was clever, and I knew it. It was a small class, so it was very obvious I was the worst. And 3 years on, I found out I could never beat them in the classroom. So I tried to beat them in the sports field. So focused very much on my sport. Became quite successful in a range of different sports. Was awarded, colours for all those sports. But the real thing is when it came to summer graduation from that school, I had to take exams to get to my next school. I was the only person out of, I think it was 38 boys that didn't get into the next school. So I got back into state school. So moving on to today, a lot of my friends, have very good jobs. A lot of the friends I hang around with, and I'm best friends with them today. And I love them to bits. Even though I live in the UAE and they're back in England, I miss them a lot. But the point being is, if you ask them, what does Obi do? And they say, I don't know, he's in the UAE doing a bunch of stuff. The difference is I kind of took that as a motivation. I was never going to be like them. I was never going to get a job in banking. I was never going to get a job at any big names. So I always wanted to, start new things, explore, go to new territories, and try and find a way where, without being book smart or without having a good CV, to get things done and get myself to certain positions where I wouldn't ever be. Like, for example, tomorrow I'm a person from the middle of the countryside in England, with not an amazing background or CV or education. I'm presenting to the Department of Economic Development. I'm speaking at one of their small little events where they're talking about entrepreneurship. How do we improve the SME sector here? And for me, I see that as a government asking, for my advice, experience, which is amazing. And as I said, it's funny when you listen to things. This is why podcasts are so good. They really kind of make you think back, and they cover some good points. So I posted last night about a story about a founder, and hopefully PR comes out in February, positive PR about an ADGM startup getting a good amount of support from some of the local families, to be discussed. I posted about the story, about how we went to meet a group. The name's actually Obediah. If you Google Obediah, a very successful family in Abu Dhabi. They have a certain industry vertical where we went and visited one of the sites. We met with all their team. We showed them the product, how we can both benefit and make money together. Shortly after that, they said, you've got to meet our chairman to kind of proceed with this because it's such a good offer. What happened after that was we met with the chairman, we showed him all the effort we'd gone through. We told him about the opportunity for expansion, and it went further. But I actually had this gentleman, quite an aggressive gentleman actually, you get that on LinkedIn sometimes, tell me, well, can these family offices invest in my US startup? Well, yes, they can. Anybody can invest in anything, but I pretty much wrote back saying family offices here are like holding structures. There are some which are pure family offices where they're a separate managed account, with good managers, experienced managers, but in short, a lot of them are family holding structures. Now, what does that mean? It means that cash is sitting in different pockets, different businesses that they own. It's not really a dedicated vehicle to invest in, let's say, international markets. If they have an industrial company that's doing well with lots of profits, they may use the proceeds from that to invest in a startup. So my point is, with the family holding groups, you have to try and find a strategic alignment. Can your software be valuable to them? Are they in the banking or financial services industry? All these types of things. You have to think outside the box, because it all comes down to diligence. The issue why you don't see a lot of family names or family offices on all these pieces of PR is because they don't know how to lead rounds. They put a bit of cash in on the top because they don't know how to value software. So if I'm Mr. Angry Man from LinkedIn last night asking me why UAE family offices don't invest in US startups, well, it's probably because they don't know how to invest in a software company from Utah. They have no experience, they have no track record of doing so. So if you came over here, I don't know, met with a bunch of businesses, created some consensus around what your product can do in the local market, then we're starting to head on the right track. Right, so I just arrived at the Department of Economic Development for the event. There we go, I figured out how to zoom in. I don't even know how to get into this government building, so I'm parking outside. And
So here I can move just,
no way. Unbelievable.
then I click, and then
Take a picture. So back in the car after meeting with the DED, Department of Economic Development, SME sector specifically. It was, successful. I mean, the whole point of it is to allow the small businesses to have direct access to the government. No other country does this, honestly. Startup funding, helping the small business owner, helping the entrepreneur. How do we stop money from the big guys here going into America or Europe? How do we get, these big institutions here, which everybody knows has money, to put more skin in the game locally? Communication with the government, and you're telling them honestly what are our challenges. And the challenges in the UAE, as of course there are many. Banking, it's expensive from time to time, to live, to do certain things. So they're trying to bring more incentives in. I proposed a matching fund, specifically more for angels. If I'm looking to put 100k into a startup, if the government can match my investment, well, that's going to seriously de-risk. It's kind of like the EIS scheme that the UK does. Again, this is something that they don't have here. So this is where you have to understand is, if you're ever coming to the UAE, things like this don't exist. They're coming, because startup investing is very new to us. A lot of the VCs here that have international LPs invest in international markets, but they may operate out of Abu Dhabi. So we're just trying to get more money locally. My name's Obediah Ayton, and welcome to my channel.